3 a.m. It was always 3 a.m. The silence in our 14th floor apartment was so thick you could almost touch it. It pressed against my ears, a static pressure. I held my breath, waiting. Beside me, Mark was dead to the world, his breathing deep and heavy, completely untouched by the tension strangling my chest. He always slept like that, leaving me alone to face the dark. And then it came. A single, shrill electronic note rang out from the next room. Then a second. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. The sickeningly cheerful tune of Baby Shark tore through the night. My heart gave a single, hard, dry tap. I opened my eyes, the white ceiling blurred overhead. No, not again tonight. Please. I pushed the heavy comforter away. The cold of the November hardwood floor shot right through the soles of my feet. A shiver ran up my spine, but it wasn't from the cold. I didn't turn on the light. I knew the path too well. I walked through the short hallway. The air was thick. A strange smell had seeped into the apartment lately. A musty, fishy stench, like old pond water, cutting right through the faint scent of baby powder. Light bled from the crack under Liam's door, a pale blue glow, flickering unevenly. It wasn't flickering in time with the song. It had its own rhythm, slow, like a pulse. I pushed the door open. The room was bathed in that grotesque blue light. It was coming from it. The lemon yellow stuffed shark. It was sitting on the windowsill, facing inwards. I'd put it in the toy box last night. I was sure of it. I'd buried it. Now, its black plastic eyes stared blankly at the crib, reflecting the blue light. Its permanent, stitched-on grin seemed wider in the shadows, and it was singing. The song spilled from the teeny speaker inside its belly. Mommy Shark, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But the sound was wrong, warped, as if the batteries were dying. But it wasn't just dying. It was distorted. Do-beep, do-do. And beneath the tune, I could almost hear another sound, a wet, shuffling noise. Liam was asleep in his crib, my 3-year-old angel, curled up under his cloud-patterned blanket. His breathing was light, but even in sleep, his brow was furrowed, as if he was having a nightmare. I tiptoed to the shark. The worn fleece felt wrong under my fingers. It was damp, a cold, clammy dampness. I grimaced. The fishy smell was overpowering, rolling off it in waves. I fumbled for the switch on its dorsal fin. My finger pressed something soft and yielding. I flinched, pulling my hand back. But then I pushed hard, flipping the switch. The music cut off abruptly. The silence crashed down on the room, heavier than before. Nothing but Liam's breathing and the high-pitched ringing in my own ears. I picked the shark up. It was heavier than usual, waterlogged. I threw it into the toy box, using both hands to shove it down, burying it beneath wooden blocks and plastic trucks. I had to make sure it stayed put. I looked back at Liam, kissed his warm forehead, and left quietly, pulling the door almost shut. It all started 3 weeks ago. Mark bought it at some closeout toy store. "Last one on the shelf," he'd said, grinning. "I know you hate this song, but Look at its face. The kiddo love it. And Liam had loved it. Shark. Shark. He'd babble, making me play this song over and over. Bay-B-shark. Double quotes. All day, the do-do-do haunted the apartment. Then it started turning itself on at night, always at 3 a.m. At first, I blamed a short circuit. Just take the batteries out, Sarah, Mark mumbled. But that was the thing. There were no batteries. It was some kind of wind-up, or a mechanism I couldn't find. It just had an on-off switch. Mark didn't believe. He said I was just sleep-deep. I sleep like a rock, he'd say. He slept. And I lay awake, listening to that electronic song, alone in the dark. The following days, exhaustion clung to me like a second skin, cold and dumb. I became irritable. My eyes bruised shadows. Every little sound made me jump. The shark kept singing, no matter how many times I shut it off or where I hid it. The next morning, it would be there. Not always on the windowsill. Once, I found it in the kitchen sink, lying on its back on a pile of dirty dishes. Another time, it was right in the middle of the hallway, and I nearly tripped over it. Each time, it seemed damper. The fishy smell stronger. Liam started to change. He'd just sit on the rug for hours, just staring at the toy box. Not playing, just staring. Sometimes he'd take his crayons and draw, not suns and houses, just dark blue and black scribbles, overlapping spirals like churning water. One afternoon, I was folding laundry. The apartment was eerily quiet. Then I heard it, a whisper from Liam's room. I crept barefoot to his door, holding my breath. No, Liam whimpered. I don't want to. A pause. I strained to hear no reply. My mommy said no. Liam whispered again. His voice was trembling. Go away. I don't want to play. My heart clenched. Who was he talking to? I pushed the door open. Liam, who are you talking to? Sweetie? Liam jumped. He was sitting with his back to me, facing an empty corner. He whipped around, his eyes wide with fear. Nobody. I heard you talking, honey. I stepped in, scanning the room. I was talking to Shark. Liam pointed to the toy box. Primera frowned. The yellow shark was sitting right on top, though I clearly remembered burying it. Its plastic eyes seemed to be looking right at me. What did Shark say to you? I tried to keep my voice calm. Liam looked down at the floor. He wants to play hide and seek. Hide and seek, he said. Liam looked up, his clear eyes cloudy with a fear I didn't understand. He said he'll find me, no matter where I hide. A chill snaked down my spine. Okay, sweetie. I scooped him up, holding him tight. No more playing with Shark. He's a mean toy. That night, I didn't just bury the shark. I took it, marched it to the kitchen, and shoved it in the silverware drawer beneath the heavy spoons. I shut the drawer. I put Liam back to bed. I sang him Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, until his breathing evened out. I went back to our room. Mark was already asleep. I lay awake. I watched the clock. 11 p.m. Midnight. 1 a.m., 3 a.m. The silence broke. Not from Liam's room, this time. It was closer. It was coming from the kitchen. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. I sat bolt upright. My throat was sand. Mark, I shook his shoulder hard. Mark, wake up. Do you hear that? It's in the kitchen. Mark groaned, batting my hand away. Sarah, let me sleep. You're having another nightmare. It's not a nightmare, I shrieked, my voice cracking. Listen! We both went still. There was only the sound of Mark's breathing. The music had stopped. See? Mark mumbled, pulling the covers over his head. You're just over. Go to sleep. I sat there, trembling in the dark. Was I going crazy? No. I heard it. I slowly got out of bed. The floor was scalded. The smell, it was overpowering. Rolling in from the kitchen, the smell of dead fish. I walked into the kitchen. The street lights from the window cast long, distorted shadows. The silverware drawer, it was open, just a crack. I swallowed, my hand shaking. I pulled it open. The yellow shark was lying on its back, nestled among the knives and forks, still grinning. And as I stared at it, the speaker box inside it gave a dry click. And then it sang. But this time it wasn't the synthesized child's voice. It was a whisper, a hoarse, wet rasp, as if from a throat that had been submerged too long. Sarah, do. It was saying my name. I screamed. A raw, primitive sound. I grabbed the shark. Its fleece was soaking, dripping a thick, dark brown liquid onto the kitchen floor. I ran to the hallway, to the big window at the end of the hall, the one that overlooked the sleeping city. I fumbled with the safety latch. My fingernail broke. I didn't care. I yanked the window open. The cold night air slapped my face. Get out! I shrieked. I held the shark up and, with all my strength, I threw it out. I watched it fall, a small yellow speck, tumbling over and over, disappearing into the darkness 14 stories below. I gasped for air, leaning against the wall, my chest heaving. It was done. It was finally done. It was gone. I went back to Liam's room. He was still fast asleep, undisturbed. I closed the window, locking the latch. I wiped my hand on my pajama pants, trying to get rid of the disgusting, slimy feeling. I went back to bed. For the first time in weeks, I fell into a heavy, dreamless sleep. I woke the next morning feeling strangely light. The sun was shining. Mark had left a note. Early meeting. Love you. I smiled. A real smile. I made coffee. I put on classical music. The fishy smell was gone. Liam, sweetie, time for breakfast, I called cheerfully. I went to his room. The crib was empty. The cloud blanket was tossed on the floor. My heart skipped a beat. Liam, I called, my voice losing its cheer. Hide and seek isn't funny, honey. No answer. The apartment was silent, except for the soaring violins. I checked the bathroom. the closet, under the bed. Nothing. Panic began to rise like bile in my throat. Liam, where are you? Liam? I ran out to the living room, and I saw it. It was lying in the middle of the Persian rug. The yellow shark. It was perfectly dry. Not a smudge, not a tear from a 14-story fall. As if it had never left, its stitched-on grin seemed to be mocking me. Primera vez que away, bumping into the coffee table. I couldn't breathe. How? And then I felt it under my feet. The rug, it was damp. Primera looked down, the rug was soaked. Murky, brackish water was bubbling up from the fibers. The stench hit me so strong I gagged. The smell of rotting seaweed and dead fish. I saw the wet trail. It led from the front door, across the living room, and stopped at the shark, as if it had walked in. No, I whispered. I heard water, the sound of a faucet running, full blast. It was coming from our bathroom. Liam. I sprinted to the bathroom. The door was closed. I twisted the knob. It was locked from the inside. Liam. Opened the door. Liam, it's Mommy. I pounded on the door. The doorknob was slippery, clammy. Water was seeping from under the door, pooling on the hallway floor. Ice-cold water. Inside, the sound of running water stopped abruptly. A heavy, oppressive silence fell. Then, faintly, but unmistakably, Baby Sharky. Do. It was Liam's voice, but it was muffled, strained, as if he were singing through a thick layer of water, as if he were underwater. Liam, I screamed, blind with panic. Mommy's coming in. I threw my full weight against the door. The wood splintered. I hit it again. The door flew open, slamming against the wall. I froze. The bathroom was dark. The light bulb overhead flickered, sizzled, and died. The only light was a sickening, pale blue glow coming from the bathtub. The tub. It was full to the brim, overflowing. The water wasn't clear. It was black, opaque as mud, and it was steaming, a cold mist fogging the mirror. The air was thick with the smell of salt and decay. Liam? I tiptoed forward. The tile floor was treacherous. The water, and I looked into the tub. The black surface was still. I couldn't see the bottom. Sweetheart, I knelt, my hand trembling as I reached for the edge. Something moved under the water. I snatched my hand back. It wasn't Liam. It was too big. A dark, long shape glided just beneath the surface. Then another. Several of them. They were circling. I held my breath, backing away, and then a sound right by my ear. A garbled, electronic chuckle. Peekaboo, though. I whipped my head around. The yellow shark was there, sitting on the sink. Its plastic eyes reflected my own abject terror. It was soaking wet, dripping that dark brown sludge into the white porcelain basin. Its mouth opened. Find him. Sarah, that hoarse whisper rasped. Deep. I screamed. I scrambled back, slipping on the wet tile. I fell backward, my head cracking against the door frame. Everything blurred. I looked at the tub. The black water began to churn violently, as if something massive was rising from the depths. No! Liam, I tried to crawl, but my body wouldn't move. The bathroom doorway filled. Sarah? That voice. It cut through the nightmare like a scalpel. I turned. Mark was standing in the doorway. He was in his work suit, his briefcase in his hand. The bright morning sun from the hallway backlit him. He hadn't gone to work. Sarah, what are you doing? His face was pale, not with fear. With exhaustion. With agony. I looked at him, confused. Liam, I sobbed. I can't find him. The shark, it was in the tub. It was talking. Mark walked into the bathroom. He stepped right past me. I followed his gaze. The room. It was dry. The white tile was pristine. Bright. The bathtub was empty. Bone dry. There was no water. No stench. No blue light. No blue light. The yellow shark lay face down on the bath mat next to the toilet. Limp, soft, and completely harmless. Sarah. Oh, Sarah. Mark sighed, a sigh so heavy with a sorrow I suddenly understood. He knelt beside me, gently taking my hand. Mart. The shark was singing. I wept. It was talking. It told me to find Liam. He was in the water. He was right here. Stop it! His voice broke. He gripped my hand tightly. Please, don't do this again. Not today. What are you talking about? I looked at him, my brain refusing to understand. He was just here. He was singing. I heard him. Sarah. He looked directly into my eyes. His were full of tears. You know Liam isn't here. I frowned. No. He's in his room. He's just hiding, Sarah. His voice was firm, saturated with pain. Liam has been gone for 6 months. No. Don't you remember? He pleaded, his voice cracking. The company picnic. The lake, Willow Creek Lake. You looked away for 1 second, Sarah. Just 1 second. The words hit me like thousands of icy knives. No, it was a lie. I had just kissed his forehead last night. No. I shook my head, trying to fight off the images flooding back. The water, the dark blue, the screaming, the small, still hand. No, no, you're lying. He's here. He's playing hide and seek. He's gone, Sarah. Mark was crying now, his hot tears falling onto my hand. Our boy is gone. He's not coming back. The whole apartment seemed to tilt. Reality, the one I had so carefully avoided, shattered around me. The sleepless nights, the exhaustion, the 3 a.m. music. There was no music, just the silence. The awful, crushing silence, and me, weeping into my pillow, trying not to wake him. The shark, I had thrown it out. Yes, I remembered the wind on my face, but I had gone down at 5 a.m. while Mark was asleep. I had found it lying on the damp grass. I had snuck it back in. I had hidden it. I had been placing it. I had been wetting it in the sink. I looked at the empty tub. The bathroom. This is where I had tried to revive him. After they handed him to me, I had pressed on his tiny chest, but only cold water came out. The truth was too cold. I slowly pulled my hand from Mark's. He watched me, terrified. I slowly stood up. My shoulder ached. I walked over and picked up the stuffed shark. It was light, dry, lifeless. Sarah, throw it away, Mark begged. The doctor said, it's an anchor. It's not healthy. I raised a finger to my lips, hushing him. I hugged the shark to my chest. I pressed my ear to its stitched-on grin, closing my eyes. The silence of the apartment pressed in. I listened hard, past my husband's broken sobs, and I heard it. Faint, as if from a great, deep distanza, the sound of lapping water, and a tiny, bubbling whisper. Mummy shark, do-do-do. A slow smile spread across my face. It was real. I wasn't crazy. I turned to my husband. His face crumpled in fear. Fear of me. He took a step back. It's okay, Mark, I whispered, stroking the shark. My tears stopped. He's not gone. Can't you hear him? I held the shark to my ear. He's safe. He's waiting for me. I began to rock, gently, humming, safe at last, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Thanks for watching until the end. What was your favorite part? Please let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my future content. Your support is my biggest motivation. Thank you all so much.